Set any kid free outside and leave him to his own devices, free from cell phones and tablets and parents, and then hunt him up again after a half an hour or so. 9 times out of 10 he will have wandered down to the nearest ditch, creek, or riverbank. It's ingrained in our DNA. From our beginnings in tiny villages to the greatest cities of today, man has always lived by a river. But now it seems we are in danger of losing that connection. For the first time in the millions of years that man has been on Earth, large segments of our population spend their entire lives with no connection to the river at all. The next time you are sitting at lunch and the topic of conversation is a TV show, and you are a main participant in that conversation, take that as a warning sign. A serious warning sign, as much as high blood pressure or heart arrhythmia that something is terribly wrong with you. Just think if you took that same amount of time and learned just one thing about the real world around you. In a year, would you understand the world around you more? Could you tell a sassafras tree from an oak? Or will you have just seen every episode of NCIS? Which is most likely? I love small creeks and rivers. I spend an inordinate amount of time around them, fishing their riffles and pools, scouting the surrounding hillsides for ginseng, or golden seal, or mushrooms, or checking out the rock bars for fossils. The list goes on and on. And what have I learned from creeks? One shocking fact is that nobody goes anywhere around them anymore. And I mean nobody. I'll lace up the boots, throw a peanut butter sandwich and a couple bottles of water in my day pack, and spend all day exploring one and never see another person. Right there, just over your fence, down at the end of the field, over the hill, lies another country, your local creek. You are more likely to go to some tropical island than here, and you're not alone. I never ever see anyone. But I do see things. Small everyday miracles, crayfish crawling across the bottom, a doe slipping down for a drink, the twisted artistry of sycamore roots. And yes, I've been bitten by bugs. I've gotten sweaty. I've been caught out in storms and soaked to the skin and froze. You know why? Because I was alive and doing something. You don't have any of that happen to you while you're watching TV because you're not doing anything. My theory is that you're not really alive while watching Dancing with the Kardashians. Instead, you have just set aside time you don't want to live, bringing you that much closer to death. The natural world, that's a phrase I've always looked at slightly askance. Everything outdoors labeled and tucked away as something separate. A place you go out into, somewhere else. When I was a child, I would be gone exploring my grandfather's farm and woods all day, sailing toy boats on the pond, building stick forts. Nowadays, for much of America, fear keeps our children inside at all times. We take them out to the park, instead of just opening the back door and saying, "Be back by supper time." But for millions of Americans, the reality is that they might spend days at a time when their feet never leave the pavement, and then only while cutting across the grass, instead of taking the sidewalk. The Journal of Epidemiology and Community Health published a 2009 study which found that the closer you live to nature and the natural world, the better your chances are of being healthy. The study looked at 345,143 Dutch people's medical records. No idea why exactly 345,143, but hey, that's a huge sample group. The records were then compared with how much green space was located within 1 kilometer of a person's postal code. The results concluded that if you lived within 1 kilometer of a park or other wooded area, you suffered less anxiety and less depression than those that lived further away. And, according to the journal Environmental Science and Technology, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, spent outdoors doing anything from walking to fishing will improve your mental health. We haven't completely lost our connection to the river, though. I know of a couple little churches tucked away down 2-lane country roads where the faithful are still baptized in the creek that runs out back. Where in the waters of the creek our sins are washed away, and our spirit renewed. And this isn't an idea confined to rural America. It's worldwide. Hindus believe that bathing in the river Ganges helps them wash away their sins. The cremated ashes of their loved ones are spread upon the river too, so the flowing waters of the river can help them reach nirvana. The twists and turns of the river symbolize the twists and turns which we encounter during our lives, ever changing and new, but somehow familiar, and following the same rule. Pick me up and magically set me down alongside a new and completely unknown river. And somehow I am at home. You see, even though it is completely different than any other river on earth, this new river follows the same rules of physics every river must follow, and thus is familiar. Every river, though, is as much different as it is the same. Every twist in the way, every bend in the river having its own channel and pool exactly where they should be. But, being a river, it is also full of the new and the mysterious. Climb out onto a log sticking out over the river, and watch the river flowing away underneath your feet. It is the continual flow of new water through the river that enchants us. For in a river that might have spent 1,000,000 years carving the valley around it, every moment is new, every drop of water flowing by is new. The more things change, the more they stay the same, and the more they stay the same, the more they change. In this way, the river alone shows us the passage of time most completely. Water like time flowing past us on its way to the sea, never stopping, but somehow never ending. The river new in its headwaters, middle-aged in its maturity, and old down by the sea. Young and old all at the same time, flowing by, never ending. Just like the cycle of all life on earth. Take the time to know a river, walk its banks, or paddle a length of it, and you will experience true time. Speeding up and slowing down, but always flowing, always moving. Till the last rays of the sun are slanting through the trees in magical beams of golden light. The day gone never to return, but somehow still with you, inside you. And tomorrow the promise of another new and magical day. What a contrast, river time, real time, is with our contrived artificial time measured out in the ticks of turning mechanical gears. Time so artificial every fall and spring we change it on a whim. Instead, wade out into the river, bend down, and hold the water in your hands. Feel it flow over and through your fingers, and think for a moment how you can never touch the same water twice. We can no more stop the flow of water in the river than we can stop the passage of our lives or of our time here on earth. The most we can do is appreciate it. Realize that each fleeting moment is new and will be gone no matter how we spend it. A precious gift we cannot hoard or lock away in a cupboard, but must use as wisely as we know how, since it will never return. Sitting on a log, watching the river flow by underneath me, seems as good a way to spend it as any, and better than most. For here on the river, every moment is true and full. Every bit of time is short or as long as it's supposed to be. It's impossible to hide from yourself very long on the river. Out here, on the river, one of the things you will find is yourself.